Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. We've been digging into some pretty interesting stuff lately, and today I want to talk about something that I think a lot of people can probably relate to. Have you ever heard of the term relationship jumping?
Yeah, I've heard that term thrown around.
Well, today we're going to break down exactly what it means, and we'll get into some of the impacts it can have on your life. It's kind of like, when you see a frog jumping from lily pad to lily pad and never stopping to really appreciate any of them.
Oh, I get it. Yeah. They're just hopping from one to the next, always looking for the next best thing, but never actually slowing down.
Exactly. So today we're going to look at the psychology behind why people do this. We're going to explore some of the motivations and potential pitfalls that come with relationship jumping.
It's a really fascinating topic, actually. I think a lot of times people do this because they're afraid of being alone.
Right. Loneliness can be a really powerful motivator.
Yeah, and sometimes it can push people to seek connection maybe before they're actually ready for it.
That makes sense. But fear isn't always the only driver, is it? It seems like there could be other reasons why someone might find themselves jumping from one relationship to another.
For sure. There's something to be said about the excitement that comes with a new relationship. Those early stages can be super exhilarating.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Like the butterflies you get on those first few dates.
Exactly. And getting to know somebody new, it can almost be addictive. You know what I mean? But the problem is, when you're constantly jumping from one relationship to the next, you never really give yourself a chance to learn from the past.
You're never really unpacking the baggage, so to speak.
Right. And all that emotional baggage can really start to weigh you down.
Can you talk a bit more about that? Like, how does that emotional baggage play out in a new relationship?
Well, imagine, for instance, that you went through something like a betrayal in a past relationship.
Oh, that would be tough to move on from.
Right. So you might end up carrying those trust issues with you. So even if your new partner has done absolutely nothing to make you question them, you're always second-guessing their motives.
I can see how that would be a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, and or let's say a past relationship ended with a really tough heartbreak. You could end up with like a fear of commitment. You might even start sabotaging the relationship before it even has a chance to develop.
Wow. So in a lot of ways, relationship jumping is kind of a way to avoid dealing with those deeper issues, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a way to avoid the pain, but the problem is if you're not actually dealing with it, you just end up carrying it with you into the next relationship and the next one. It's a cycle.
That's so insightful. But, I do have to ask, is it always a bad thing? Are there ever any situations where moving on quickly could be seen as healthy?
That's a great question. And yeah, there are definitely situations where it could be a good thing. Like, let's say someone just came out of a really toxic or even an abusive relationship.
That would be really difficult to deal with.
Right. So in those cases, sometimes a rebound relationship can actually be a good thing. It can be like a way to sort of remind yourself what a healthy relationship is supposed to feel like. It can give you a sense of validation and help you remember your own worth.
So I guess the key is being able to tell the difference between a healthy rebound and just constantly jumping from one thing to the next without processing anything.
Exactly. And the best way to do that is to be really honest with yourself.
To be self-aware.
Yeah. Ask yourself, am I really ready for this? Or am I just trying to fill a void or run away from something?
Right. Are you truly interested in getting to know this new person? Or are you just trying to prove something to yourself or to other people?
Yeah. And if you're not really sure what the answer is, that might be a sign to take a step back.
So it seems like a lot of this boils down to really understanding your own emotional landscape.
Totally. And this is where relationship jumping can start to impact your sense of self. When you're constantly looking for validation in your romantic relationships, it can make it hard to build a sense of identity outside of those relationships.
Right. You start to lose yourself a little bit.
Right. And it's important to remember that a fulfilling relationship, any relationship for that matter, should complement your life, not define it.
So how can someone break free from this cycle of relationship jumping? Where do they even begin?
I would say the first step is just to, take some time to think about your past relationships. Look for any patterns. Maybe you're always attracted to the same type of person, or maybe you tend to jump into really intense emotional intimacy too quickly.
And there's nothing wrong with asking for help during that process, right?
Not at all. Talking to a therapist can be super helpful. Or even just confiding in a trusted friend. They can provide outside perspectives and help you see things you might not see on your own.
Because sometimes it's hard to be objective when it comes to your own life.
Right. Exactly. It's important to remember that healing takes time, and it's okay to be single for a while. Focus on building a strong sense of self. Learn to enjoy your own company.
And then, when you are ready for a relationship, you'll be coming at it from a much healthier place.
That's the idea. It's all about self-discovery, really.
I love that. Every relationship, whether it lasts for a few weeks, a few months, or even a lifetime, can teach us something about ourselves. But we have to be willing to actually learn those lessons.
Yeah. And sometimes the most important journey isn't about finding someone else. It's about finding yourself.
So well said. So if you find yourself constantly hopping from one lily pad to the next in your relationships, maybe it's time to ask yourself, what am I really searching for? And maybe, just maybe, the answer lies within.